Welcome to the Prime Health Podcast with your host, Dr. Derek Barron. Dr. Barron interviews doctors, wellness experts, and healthcare leaders who are revolutionizing how we approach health and longevity. The Prime Health Podcast explores breakthrough science, personal and patient stories, and practical insights that are shaping the future of health and wellness. So sit back, listen in, and prepare to transform how you think about your path towards Prime Health with Dr. Barron and his special guest.
Welcome back to the Prime Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Derek Barron, and I'm here to bring you cutting-edge insights and practical strategies from leading healthcare experts for your journey to Prime Health in life and in business. And today I want you to think about this, especially if you're a clinician. What happens when people building healthcare technology are the same ones living its daily frustrations? Today's guest, Dr. Zaman Shah of MEDWAY INC, didn't just see the problem, he felt it every single day in practice. And what's great is he decided to build a better way forward for those with EHR systems. But before we jump into the episode with Dr. Shah, I just have a quick message from our sponsor, Growth Solutions, where we believe healthcare professionals deserve exceptional growth partners to match their ambition and reach their potential. So Growth Solutions is not an agency or vendor. We are your growth partner, and we take a diagnostic approach to your business. We analyze where time, money, leads, or opportunities may be leaking. We help eliminate stressors in business, such as new patient or client acquisitions, marketing and growth strategies, and reducing operational chaos with proven systems, frameworks, and SOPs. And yes, we help you understand some of those AI agents and bots because they're coming for us whether we like it or not. So if you ever thought this to yourself, I'm too busy to grow, too slow to scale, or too overwhelmed to fix it, we can be your solution. If you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word grow in below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But you came here today, and that's to meet and hear from our amazing guest, and that's Dr. Zaman Shah. Dr. Shah, welcome to the Prime Health Podcast, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much, Derek. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm an internal medicine physician and founder and CEO of MEDWAY. MEDWAY is a healthcare AI company that helps EHR, basically transforming them into platforms that are more effortless, that are more interoperable and clinician-friendly. I've been in frontline practice and clinical leadership for over 15 years, and the one thing that I've realized firsthand and experienced is that there is a growing burden on physicians' time, pulling it away from where it belongs, the patients. And that was really the purpose and the dream of, creation of MEDWAY. I also have an MBA from University of Alabama, Birmingham, and formal education in healthcare AI and digital transformation from Harvard. My ambition in life is really to build practical, clinician-guided AI that really understands the practical realities and really improves workflow for clinician and restore the human connection in care.
I love it. I want to dive into MEDWAY for sure as we'll go through this because, as I was reading online, an amazing software that I'm sure is changing the way people are practicing. We want more to learn about it, but I do want to jump back into your history. And when you became a physician, was there something that took place when you were a younger person, young kid? What kind of got you to choose that career in medicine to begin with?
That's a great question. I think it goes way back when I say I would probably about 10, 12 years old, just the inquisitive part of this. We were playing and a friend, I think they were eating something, they were swallowing and they started choking on that. And, people gathered to help him and take him to the hospital and provide all the support. But really that evening when I was just laying down, just thinking to myself, like, what is choking? What happens? How do you help this person? And and that was really, I would say, in a more practical way, probably the start of that trigger that pulled me more and more towards, what disease is, what treatment is. And from there, it was natural flow because I've had other family members who have been in healthcare as well. And so, getting guidance from that, getting more exposure. And that eventually led to, okay, I need to go to med school. I need to learn this. I need to be able to help and support the ones in need. And, every single time I see kind of a difficult situation like that, that reminds me of that very early primitive memory of that child, trying to eat something and choking on it. And really that, the trigger from that point onwards to pursue medicine, and really the desire to continue to improve what I do and improve for others, how they deliver care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess sometimes other people's unfortunate circumstances help us make our own decisions and our passions, which hopefully that person was fine. And, their little shortcoming helped you, going into becoming a physician, now building out Medway. So it's great. I saw on your LinkedIn profile where it sounds like Medway, I don't want to say this is your tagline at all, but I saw where it said empowering clinicians to elevate patient care. I'd love for you to explain kind of what that means more to you.
Absolutely. So, in my daily practice, what I have noted over the years is that the administrative burdens, the fragmented data systems, the documentation requirements, all of these things are really, putting clinicians burdened and pulling their time away from patients. And what that results in is really disengaged encounters, frustrated patients, burnt out physicians, and at the same time, poor care delivery systems. The core premise of Medway was to really use technology in a way that it sits as a silent layer working behind the scenes, where clinicians are actually more present and engaged in the conversations with the patients. They are better informed about their patients. Their decision becomes more data-driven, and really bringing and restoring that human connection in care. And that's what we are working towards every single day.
Okay. So it's probably, well, I don't want to say it's difficult to explain, but can you explain how Medway is different than other systems that are out there? What makes yours unique?
I would say there's multiple things. Firstly, I think the part that we are clinician first and technology later, or human first and technology later, I think is a very important aspect of this. Every problem that we want to address, we have a clinician think tank. We sit together as providers, people who live the reality of that experience every single day, and think about that problem, how that can be improved, what are the challenges, something that is going to be adoptable for clinicians and not creating more friction in the process. And once we have refined that problem and thought of a solution that would be more practical from a clinical standpoint, that's when we start engaging our technology team in the process to build that. And again, going back to implementing that and testing that rigorously in that clinical setting to see if it truly fits the clinical workflows. That is one part of this. The second part is an approach that is a little more holistic than some point solutions. So one thing that we have realized is that the power of technology is going to be there in healthcare if it's truly integrated into clinicians' native environment. And if it's really looking at multiple points of their workflow and touching on multiple things. So what we design our solution in a way that it's actually looking at multiple intersections of clinician with technology. So for example, when I'm seeing a patient, the first thing I do is I have to know about their information. I have to dig into their data to find out what's been going on, what problems they have, what medications they're taking, what's being done for them. And right now, digging into EHR takes a lot of time, a lot of clicks, a lot of friction. And so what we do is we have introduced a conversational interface where you can just simply ask, and that information is provided in a very intuitive and visually informative way. And just to give you an example, for example, if I'm seeing a patient with diabetes and I just ask, we call this tool called MedChat. If I just ask it, how's Mr. XYZ's diabetes control been? It's going to instantly pull the last perhaps 5 A1C readings and plot them in a single flash. And that way I can tell exactly how their control has been over the last year or so, And so that is one part of our solution where we are able to conversationally access data. The second part is what happens during the encounter. So for example, if I'm seeing a patient, I have to order them labs, images, referrals, prescriptions. We are introducing what we call med orders. That is an automated way of those things actually happening behind the scene, getting ready for you for a quick review and a one-click submission. So that is the second part of the workflow automation. The third part is actually documenting all of this. Of course, that's one essential part of our job and also one friction point for us. And so that's why, the third part is around the documentation. And that really closes that entire loop of access to information, ordering things, and documenting the entire process. And what it does really is, on the one hand, it actually frees clinician from this burden that, okay, I have to, document all of this. And while I'm sitting with the patient, I'm constantly working on my computer. I'm actually more present and engaged and listening to my patients. On the other hand, because data access becomes so convenient that I'm much more informed about my patient, and my decision making is much more data driven and well educated in that situation. So it really makes me more informed, really makes me more present, and it does elevate the quality of care for the patient, not just the quality of care, but the experience of care delivery overall. And really, it takes the stressful part of our job away. We love to interact with patients. We love to do decision making and all of that. What we don't like is documentation and digging into EHRs, and this really automates that process for us.
Yeah, I like that. And I think what's great about your business, as I read into it, is that it's not, I want to be careful how I say this. There are data technologists and data strategists that are doing things, but typically those data technologists and strategists are not physicians. So they're making decisions, but it sounds like you, as the physician, are leading the phases on how you go about it and say, this is what's important to us as the physician. This is what we feel is important to our patients. Can you design around that structure? So it sounds like that's how you're prepping your team.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, very fundamental for any healthcare, technology to hold, because a lot of people think of healthcare technology as to be something that is very sophisticated and cool, that is going to be successful. That is not the reality. I think the reality is going to be, are you solving an actual problem? That is the first thing. It is not something I'm creating, but I'm aware of living the reality of every single day. And I can see that this is a true problem and true friction for the clinician, number one. The second part of it is, the solution, is it going to fit the workflow? So even if this is an amazing technology solution addressing an actual problem, but if it's not going to fit the day-to-day realities of practice, that is still not going to be adoptable. And that is the second part of this. And the third part is really the trust, the security, the compliance around all of that. The relevance of the responses created, the consistency of the responses created, and that is going to earn that clinician's trust and adaptability. So all of those really comes in when you are truly grounded in the domain itself. And if you're delivering care every single day, it's a natural process that you're going to know that better, and that is going to transform into a technology that is going to be adoptable in that situation.
Yeah. You said the word trust a few times, which I think is paramount in this. We have to always think about what, as physicians, can you do to gain the trust of your patient, which the end users of Medway are trying to do that. But what you're pointing out is that we want our clinicians that are going to use our software, our Medway, our AI, to trust us that we built it with them in mind first and their patient in mind as well.
That is absolutely correct. I think healthcare, or any technology solution in healthcare, is going to be, it's a very fragile situation. You're not going to get multiple chances, with clinicians and with clinical users for that matter. Anything, I think the speed, yes, is good. The speed for the product to be ready and be available is one thing. But before that, you have to rigorously test your solution to make sure the responses it's generating are consistent. It is relevant. It is not putting the clinician at risk. Just to give you an example, for example, if I have a solution that is documenting extremely well, but maybe 1 out of 10 of those cases are not capturing right, for example. And as a clinician, I'm going to say, well, I'm not sure which 1 out of those 10 it's not going to capture. So I'm always going to be stressed and, trying to do the same thing again. And that is going to be the biggest friction in adoption. So really consistency, credibility, making sure that it's compliant, that the PHI is protected, that is going to drive adoption for the clinician. The one other critical thing for clinician adoption is really native environment, not just adding another layer of friction, another window for them to navigate, another thing that they have to do. It has to be deeply embedded in their environment. If I have opened an EHR window on the one screen, and I have any clinical AI tool in another, and switching windows back and forth is not going to improve efficiency or adoption. It's actually going to kill it. It has to be part of the EHR itself. And that's how something that we quickly realized when we started building. And that's why our approach is really to enable EHRs, transform them in a way that they actually deliver those in their native environment to their clinician users, rather than we providing and building standalone solutions.
Okay, so that makes me think of something unique in that perspective, and I hope I'm tracking correctly here. If, let's say, I'm a dermatologist, and then that wants to utilize your system, and then there's an orthopedic surgeon that wants to use it, and then there's a pediatrician, does it learn about us individually as well as, like, it has a broad spectrum of what it does, but does it learn my practice style as well?
Yes, and we have ensured that in 2 ways. Firstly, it is not a generic one-size-fits-all solution. So we have what we call specialty stacks for every particular specialty. So for example, if I'm an internal medicine physician, the response that it generates, the information that it interprets, the things that it do are going to be fundamentally different than a person, let's say they are a cardiologist or they're an orthopedic surgeon, because their requirement is different, their need is different. So on the back end, the technology is designed in a way that it, once the setup process is done, it actually knows what specialty I am, what my preferences look like. And so it really tailors that solution to that particular specialty type, number one. And yes, secondly, over time, it learns about your preferences. It learns about how you want to do things. And it stays flexible to learn and adopt and improve over time.
I like that. That's exciting. That again builds on the trust that's there. So when you were dealing with practice EHRs prior to you designing yours, what was it that was frustrating to you? Were there multiple situations, or there was always this issue that was bothering me that said, I can't get past this? And I'm asking this because there's a clinician, a physician out there listening or watching to this, and I want them to understand that if you're struggling with this, like Dr. Shah or maybe some other current clients that are using Medway, that they're struggling with, how can this help them get past that point?
I would answer this in a more fundamental way. So the way EHRs are designed, that they are amazing, safe information keeping systems. They're never really designed to be a support layer in the care delivery. They're never really designed to basically be intelligent tools that surface information, the right information at the right time, help you document, help drive your decision making, provide the insights that you need, tell you about the gaps, that there are in all of those things. So really, when I was interacting with the electronic health record system, there were multiple of those challenges, and I'm sure every single clinician has them. So digging for information, you have to, go into this one bucket and make 10 clicks to get one point of information. And then you go to the other side and get another piece of information. And then, putting the dots together and integrating all of that. And all of that burden is transferred to us as clinicians. On the other hand, also, we're operating in this very short time window where we have to take care of documentation, where we have to, be productive and efficient at the same time. So what the technology needs to do is really address most, ideally all of those problems, but most of them. And so, for example, the first thing I would say would be, let's say, taking care of the documentation part. But two, intelligently surfacing the right information at the right time. Like, for example, in a given day, a clinician spends, and there's been actually a study by the Annals of Internal Medicine that revealed that, for every single hour that a clinician spends directly taking care of the patient, they spend at least 2 more on the EHR and doing desk work, really. So that basically tells us something, that a lot of our time is spent in front of the computers, digging for information, putting orders, documenting, doing all of that stuff. If those AI tools intelligently take care of those things for us in a trustworthy way, then it really frees up our time. It really frees up our time. It makes it more available during that encounters. It really makes us, much more efficient at what we do in a much better way that we're able to deliver that care.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, in healthcare in general, 7 minutes is hard to do anything for a patient. If you're in typically a hospital setting, if maybe you're in private practice, you have more time. And the truth is, people don't understand that interaction with the physician is extremely critical to get your story out as best as you can, as fast as you can, in as short a period of a time again. And now you have to sit here and focus on that story and say, okay, going back in, I've got to understand clinically what's going on. But part of the brain at the same time is trying to shift and say, okay, as they're saying this to me, I've got to make sure I'm tracking this down. So you're not fully focused on the patient at the time. And I think that this is what Medway is helping your clinicians do, is stay focused on the important parts at the time. And when it's time to do the notes, your systems help it along the way.
And interestingly, I'll give you, some examples along that. Like, I've heard from a lot of clinicians who are actually using it. They say, it really documents a lot of parts of the conversation that we have had that we don't remember when we come out of the room. Because really what our mind is doing is there's 10 things to focus on at once. We have decision making to do. We have documentation to do. We have so much more to do. And really, we try to focus on the high points, but there's other relevant and important information that could be a part of that conversation that needs to be documented and recorded that never happened before, but now it does, because it focused on every important bit of information, documenting it and carrying it forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So I can imagine something as simple as having a conversation with the patient. And they may say, yeah, well, I was speaking to my wife and she is, she has shingles right now. And is there a way in which, if she has shingles, does that have a problem with the condition of the spouse? And if that does, that may be, not that a physician would blow that off, but you're focusing on that patient. And the software may come back and say, did you think about this as an option because of what he had said? It may just go, it was a statement that was made, but it brings it back up that, did you consider this? As it's thinking along with us, it's a secondary option to help us get a better diagnosis and a care plan for the patient.
So, what you're describing is really more like a clinical decision support. And that is what I would say the data retrieval or the intelligence layer there does. Yes, there is a lot of room there, and that's, one of our key focus areas. Interestingly, because of the regulation in healthcare itself, you have to be moving, every step has to be extremely calculated.
Sure.
So what we have done so far is mostly providing factual information in a very instant, user-friendly way so that it's right in front of you for you to interpret. So really the redundant and repetitive part of your work is taken care of by technology while you make the intellectual and decision-making process. But yes, along the way is what we are trying to do is draw some intelligent insights from the information that is available. And, those are just suggestions that are there for you to think about, incorporate them in your decision making, or completely disregard them. But absolutely, these are very important things where, integrating that information goes a long way. I will just give you an example from, when I was doing my residency training, we admitted a patient, and this patient was looking like a septic patient with kidney failure. They had fever, change in mental status, and kidney failure. And on the third day, we actually found out and realized that this patient has, like a TTS, or thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, which is actually a completely different entity, but that also has, kidney disease, that also has fever, change in mental status, changes in your blood counts and stuff like that. I don't want to go into kind of the clinical part of this, but what I'm trying to say is a lot of the times connecting the dots becomes very difficult, especially when you are working in very high pressure, high stakes circumstances, and you have 10 decisions to make about 10 patients right in front of you, let's say in an emergency room or in a critical care situation. And in those situations, surfacing some of these insights from the data itself intelligently could be of paramount importance. And that is where we are headed, and I'm sure that's where healthcare AI tools are headed as well.
Yeah. So can you give us from when you're still a young doc, only in for 15 years, people that were only taking paper notes. So there's paper notes, medical records. There's the ones that you were frustrated with that you took on. You're looking at Medway as to what it's doing, and you're saying some options in the future. What's kind of like a dream that you have as to what Medway can do? So if you look into the future 5 to 10 years from now, what is it you see Medway is able to provide for clinicians?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question to ask, because really that's the vision we started off with. And of course, we're very early on in our journey, but really the vision is for technology overall to be that silent layer that sits in the background, that does everything for you in terms of the repetitive, redundant part of your work. And really, as a physician, for example, when I say this, that means giving me the right information at the right time. Let's say if a person says, I have my echo was done 3 months ago and I have instant access to that, like, my computer sitting in one corner just automatically pulls it, shows it to me while we're having that conversation, really enriching that discussion there. At the same time, automatically, let's say if I say, you have sore throat and I'm going to give you amoxicillin, that automatically translates into, which I think part of that is already what we're doing, but automatically translates into an order in short scripts, and that is ready to be submitted where, you're going to have amoxicillin to be sent to the pharmacy. At the same time, everything is taken care of by documentation. And then really after that, when you move into the coding, the revenue cycle management part of it, when you look at the quality of care part, the value-based care part of it, the care gaps automation, there is so much more that technology can do, which is the frustrating and difficult part of our work. And what it can do is make us extremely human, and that is the most important part of it, that we are really present, connected, engaged, and really feeling that person's pain as they're going through it. At the same time, very efficient with that process, because really whenever we're spending that time, it is truly focused on that. And then at the same time, very productive also, that, everything is documented, done the right way, the quality care side is taken care of, the revenue cycle management part, the right codes are assigned, everything is done optimally. So that is going to elevate everything for everybody. That is going to be, as a clinician, a dream situation for me. As a patient, obviously elevating their care quality and experience, but also for the healthcare delivery system in terms of efficiency, in terms of revenue, that is going to solve the problem for all of us.
Yeah. So when people are listening to this, if they're part of a healthcare system, or if there are other EHA partners out there, investors that may be listening to this and want to learn more about Medway, I think that there are people that look at EHRs as a problem solution versus you have a scalable option. Would that be true?
So really what we're trying to do is to enable EHRs to be that supporting layer in the decision-making process, to surface the right kind of information at the right time, to allow the documentation to happen automatically for them. So we're not really I would say, a competitor for EHRs. In fact, we are, I would say, a friend of EHR, an enabler for the EHR, especially the ones that are not able to do it on their own. There are bigger EHRs like Cerner and Epic that have larger, bold visions. They have the resources and time to build the technology from ground up. But then there are small to mid-size electronic health record systems, specialty EHRs. For them, it's really a buy versus build equation. So providing a plug-and-play solution to them that is going to enable them to provide these AI features to their clinician users within a short period of time is where we're positioning, and that's how we're going to help. So, we are helping the clinicians get the technology that they need, and we're helping or doing that through partnering with electronic health record systems by providing them the AI infrastructure to make them capable of doing.
Okay, fantastic. So a good vision and future for Medway, which is fantastic. So who would you say is the ideal end user for Medway?
So as a customer, I would say we are basically partnering with small to mid-size and specialty-focused EHRs. So electronic health record systems that are deeply embedded in specialty practices, ambulatory practices, and they feel the pressure to build AI systems because as a physician, as a clinician, I expect them to have that. And so they're feeling that pressure, but for them to actually build the technology from ground up is a difficult thing to do. We provide that plug-and-play AI infrastructure. We actually work behind the scene. It is entirely under their brand. And basically, we partner up, and what we do is, our tech stack and everything provides, I would say, roughly a 70% plug-and-play that's already there. The remaining 30% is when we sit with the EHRs. We talk to them about their unique, user base, what their use case looks like, what the nuances are there, how we need to tweak it and tailor it to make sure it's best, tailored to their users. So that's our ideal customer in that sense is a small to mid-size or a specialty EHR.
Okay, so if there are specialty physicians, clinicians that are out there, they want to speak to their EHR and have them reach out to Medway and say, hey, let's learn about how we can make our practice easier.
That is going to help us a lot, because really, the first thing or probably the most friction that we get is having that first discussion with the EHR and telling them about the technology itself. So if it comes from, and it has happened in situation when it comes from the clinicians, they actually understand the value of the technology a lot better, because if I'm a physician, I know how this is going to help me. And for me, reaching out to that electronic health record system and say, hey, this XYZ company partners up with you, and it allows you to provide me this technology that is going to help all of the users. Yes, that is absolutely going to be helpful.
Fantastic. So Dr. Shah, from a business development standpoint with Medway, what's the focus on the business right now?
So I would say two things that we are focusing on. Firstly, from a product standpoint, enhancing the features, refining, adding more modules. And then from a commercial side, really exploring more partnerships with electronic health record systems. And just like I said, one of the friction points is that warm introductions, getting in front of them, because once they realize what the power of the technology is, what we have built, and more importantly, how quickly is the time to value, how quickly is the build process, how minimal is the IT lift on their end, they become extremely interested in what we have to offer, but getting in front of them is the biggest hurdle we've had.
Fantastic. Well, you've been a great guest so far. It's very interesting as to the software that you built from, unfortunately, the problems that you have. But if people are interested, whether that's, small to mid-size EHRs out there or the physicians, clinicians that are inside of their EHR every day, how would you like them to learn more about you and your business?
So I think an easier way would be to visit our website for more information. Medway.ai is our website. Of course, we're available on LinkedIn as well, and I'm hoping you are going to be able to share some of those LinkedIn links personally for myself, as well as for our company. Other than that, we're available on Facebook, all social media platforms. I have a YouTube channel as well where I try to share some of this information too. It's early on in the process because there's so much else to do around that, but I think it's also very important to directly engage with the clinician community, inform them and educate them about what's out there, how technology can change their lives and bring value and time back, for them. So with all of these, I'm always very happy to get connected with, to talk to more people, share them about what we do, and more importantly, learn about their perspective, how they think, how they see the problem, how they want it solved, and that really enriches that product experience that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I promise you we will share all of those links in the details of our podcast as well, because I would like to have more people experience you, the kindness that you have, and the ability to want them to change in their practice and promote that better. So the last question I'm going to ask of you, Dr. Shah, has been a great guest here on the Prime Health podcast. I always ask, what's your personal definition of Prime Health?
I would look at that question from two perspectives, one as a person and second as a physician or a healthcare delivery person. Okay. So as a person, I would say healthcare for me personally is not just the absence of disease. It's really being holistically in a good shape, having positive relationships, having mental peace, doing some purposeful work, contributing meaningfully, to the society and the community that you are a part of. And all of those things combined with, of course, the absence of disease is what I would think, Prime Health for me is. At the same time, as a physician and a care delivery person, and as well as the CEO of a healthcare AI company, I would say we need to focus on the core of healthcare. What we have done so far is, with all of the administrative burdens and everything, we have moved away from that human connection of care, and we need to work towards restoring that. So really the core premise, any technology in healthcare or for the healthcare delivery system overall, is to bring back that human connection in care and restore that.
Personalization is key. I think we learned a lot from COVID when we weren't able to be around people, and it's great to be able to share that and have somebody that's that gone through your experience, healthcare, CEO of a healthcare company, but an AI company where it's trying to take away that personalization. You want to add it back to the practices, which I think is fantastic.
Thank you. And I think that is one thing that people need to understand well, that this technology actually has the capability to restore that. Generally, when we think about interacting with technology, we're thinking about moving away from, that human connection. But this actually truly has that potential to restore that. And that is the core purpose and the vision behind Medway and behind what we do every single day.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Shah, you've been a fantastic guest. I really do appreciate it. As I say to everybody that's out there, when you've listened to what Dr. Shah has to say, and you can see the vision he's trying to put out there, the integrity that he has behind it is for patients, it's for businesses, it's for clinicians. He wants to make a well-rounded product that helps us bring back that human touch and that human connection. So if there's anything that you heard and there's a physician that you know that's struggling with their EHR, they just don't feel that it's giving them the best opportunity to improve their personal business, how they run their practice, or how it affects their patients, please share this. If you have anybody that's in the EHR spectrum that's out there, please do share this with them. We just need one person. We'll take as many as possible. It starts with one, that we can get more people to learn about Medway and what it has for their practices and the businesses. From a personal perspective on the podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe to us or share it. We want more people to learn about us so we can have more great guests like Dr. Shah. But until next time, as I always say here as we wrap it up, remember, wellness is a journey we are all on together. Now, whether you're taking charge of your own health or guiding others in theirs, every step forward matters. So please do stay committed to your Prime Health journey. And again, Dr. Shah, thank you very much for being an exceptional guest here on the Prime Health Podcast.
Thank you so much, Derek. Really appreciate the opportunity.